Lisa and Mark had always been thrill seekers, the kind of couple who traded candlelit dinners for ghost tours and quiet vacations for exploring abandoned asylums. Their love story was intertwined with their shared passion for the paranormal. Every anniversary, every birthday, they found a new haunted house or eerie destination to explore. It had become their tradition, their shared heartbeat. But their enthusiasm for the spectral world would soon lead them into a chilling encounter that would change their lives forever. It was a cold October evening when Lisa stumbled upon an online article about the Grayson Manor. The mansion had been abandoned for decades and was rumored to be one of the most haunted places in the state. It sat isolated in the woods, its windows like hollow eyes staring into the darkness, its walls cloaked in ivy. Locals whispered about strange lights in the windows, disembodied voices, and the occasional appearance of shadowy figures. Mark, ever the adrenaline junkie, was immediately on board. "This is perfect," he said, his green eyes lighting up with excitement. "Halloween is next week. Let's make it a night to remember." Lisa hesitated for a moment, a flicker of unease passing over her face. "Do you think we're pushing our luck? We've been to some creepy places, but this one, it feels different." Mark chuckled and pulled her close. "That's what makes it exciting. Besides, it's just stories. What's the worst that could happen?" The couple made their plans. Armed with flashlights, a camera, and their usual excitement, they set off for Grayson Manor on Halloween night. The drive was long and eerie, the winding road cutting through dense, shadowy woods. By the time they reached the mansion, the moon was high, casting its silvery light over the decrepit structure. The air was heavy as they approached the house. The wooden door creaked open with a touch, revealing a grand but decayed interior. Dust danced in the beam of their flashlights. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor, and the faint smell of mildew clung to the air. Lisa felt a shiver crawl up her spine. They moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The house felt alive, its creaks and groans mimicking whispers. Mark was in his element, snapping photos and marveling at the architecture. Lisa, however, couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Do you feel that?" "Do you, Fat?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark looked at her, his expression playful. "Feel what?" "Like, we're not alone." Mark shrugged, dismissing her concern. "That's the point, isn't it? Haunted houses are supposed to feel creepy." They continued their exploration, eventually finding their way to the grand staircase. As they ascended, Lisa's grip on Mark's arm tightened. Every step felt like a journey into the unknown. On the second floor, they entered what appeared to be a bedroom. The wallpaper was peeling, and the bed was little more than a skeleton of rusted springs. A large mirror hung on the wall, its surface tarnished and cracked. Mark moved to inspect it while Lisa scanned the room, her heart pounding in her chest. That's when they saw it. In the corner of the room, slumped against the wall, was a figure. A man. His head hung limply, his face pale and gaunt. Blood pooled beneath him, dark and sticky, staining the wooden floor. His eyes were open but lifeless, staring into nothingness. Lisa gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Mark, is he?" Mark's bravado vanished. "Stay back," he said, his voice low and steady. He moved cautiously toward the figure, his flashlight trembling in his hand. The man didn't move. His chest didn't rise or fall. He was unmistakably dead. Mark turned to Lisa. "We need to call the police." Lisa nodded, fumbling for her phone. Her hands were shaking so badly that it took her several tries to unlock it. As she dialed, Mark kept his eyes on the body, as if afraid it might suddenly spring to life. The police arrived swiftly, their flashing lights cutting through the darkness. Officers entered the house, their radios crackling as they secured the scene. Lisa and Mark were led outside, where they sat on the steps, huddled together for warmth and comfort. "You did the right thing calling us," one of the officers said. "Can you tell me exactly what you saw?" Lisa recounted the events, her voice trembling. Mark added details, describing the man's appearance and the location of the body. After what felt like hours, one of the officers emerged from the house, his face a mask of confusion. "We searched the entire place," he said. "There's no body." Lisa stared at him, her eyes wide. "What do you mean? He was right there. We saw him." The officer shook his head. "There's blood on the floor, but no body. And no signs of anyone else being here." Mark stood, his fists clenching. "That's impossible. We saw him. He was dead." "I believe you saw something," the officer said carefully. "But there's no evidence to support it." The couple was sent home, their minds racing with questions. Who was the man? Where had he gone? And why was there no trace of him? In the days that followed, Lisa and Mark tried to make sense of what had happened. They searched for news articles, obituaries, anything that might explain the mysterious figure they had seen. But there was nothing. No missing persons reports, no unsolved murders. It was as if the man had never existed. The experience left them shaken. For the first time in years, their love for haunted houses was overshadowed by fear. They stopped their ghost-hunting adventures, their once thrilling passion now tainted by the memory of that night. Months turned into years, and the couple moved on with their lives. They never spoke of the incident to anyone else, wary of being dismissed as over-imaginative or delusional. But in the quiet moments, when the house was still and the night was dark, Lisa sometimes thought she saw something out of the corner of her eye, a shadow that didn't belong, a flicker of movement in the periphery of her vision. Mark, too, felt the lingering presence. He would wake in the middle of the night, his heart pounding, certain he heard footsteps in the hall. They never discussed these moments, each fearing that acknowledging them would make them real. Whoever the man in the house had been, his memory haunted them more deeply than any ghost ever could. And though they never returned to another haunted house, the specter of that night remained, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Thank you for listening to my story. If you want to hear more scary stories, please like and subscribe to my channel.